Again, just reiterating some of the things I said after the game, frustrating on a lot of levels. We hurt ourselves plenty. The thing that I failed to mention after the game, and I usually always try to remember that, is to give recognition to the team that just beat us. And Clark Lee and his group did a heck of a job. He's done a great job all year and for some time. I think I said it prior to last Monday that I saw it coming, the way he was building his team for years and doing a very good job. So congratulations to them. They played better than us, deserved the win, and he's got that team on the right track. As far as we go, there's a very thin line between success and failure. And, we are definitely shooting ourselves in the foot in a game like that where you have 7 possessions. I think we all, myself including, during the game and certainly the last time I spoke with you, you feel the frustration, you feel so many emotions, and then you look at it and you look at that thin line that I'm talking about. It's crazy because you feel like offensively, we're falling short, and we are, but it's like, you look at the seven possessions and we have it in our hands with every opportunity to score on 5 of the possession. We take the first drive it down there, self-inflicted wound, get a penalty. Next drive it like 80 yards, great drive, touchdown. Finally get a turnover from a quarterback that hadn't thrown one all day. Get it, drive it right down, going to be 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line, fumble. The next possession, I try to be aggressive at the end of the 2-minute, and again, I'm not trying to be defensive or argumentative or conflict or anything. You wonder why I play smart sometimes. We go 3 and out, 0 time off the clock, and they score. I mean, again, I'm not trying to be a jerk, because you know what I mean. But you wonder in a game like that why you got to be very smart and protect the football. Well, that was the only real bad possession of the first half. 3 plays, 3 incompletions, and part of that's on us because we actually had a different call played, and quarterback thought he had press, was going to take a shot, and whatever. I mean, it's coaching. It's one play. It's something we could have executed better. Let's put it that way. That's the only bad possession, of the first half. Then the second half, we get the ball, drive it right down to the 4-inch line. Again, get 0. Next possession, drive it straight down, score a touchdown. Next possession, debacle. With holds and penalties, and that's where the frustration, undisciplined, anger comes out of all of us. And that's something we got to get corrected. In a close game like that, I talked about it all week, not letting the emotions get out of control at home. It's about execution, doing things right. I felt like we're doing that, but again, we take ourselves out of it right from the start. We get a nice drive, get right back on track, get a turnover, get right back on track again, get in the red zone, and put the ball on the ground. You're not going to beat a team that possesses it like that and scores. Conversely, they have 7 possessions and they get, 4 of them are converted to points, 20 points. Again, a team a week earlier scored 40 on the number 1 team in the country, or a top team in the country. So it's, and we feel like, again, I'm not putting this all in the office because I felt like defensively, and Coach White and our staff and our players will tell you that they feel like it's, again, one of the worst games we played all year, just because of the few frustrating plays that are in there. And so it's across the board. And then with all of that, we have the ball at the plus 48 with an opportunity to go win the game if we don't make a senseless block in the back. So that's where, again, the frustration and the undisciplined play that I agree with. That is very frustrating and very uncharacteristic. we've worked hard to get things corrected. We go into that game the least penalized teams out of 16 very good football teams. We were number one. We were the least penalized team going into that game. And then we have the most we have all year in 12. So very frustrating. No excuse for it. Things we have to get corrected. And, we got to take a good, hard look at ourselves and why we are doing that. Not so much blaming the individuals who made the mistakes, but why. Why are we doing these things? And why do we do them in critical moments in certain games? That's what we've got to get figured out. Our team has responded before, and I anticipate we'll do the same thing. We have, obviously a big challenge going on the road, playing in the swamp and playing a Florida team that is getting better and better and playing extremely hard, and that is always very loaded with very good players. So, we know it'll be a great challenge. We know their team, much like ours, it's a thin line between success and failure, and they will do everything to get a victory. It's a very prideful program, and Coach Napier will have his team ready, and I need to do the same. So, we got to regroup in a hurry and get right back at it and get back to work and find some solutions.
Mark, you talked about the defense, and Brad said that they had to have been better, but still 20 points should give your team a chance to win. I know I've asked you this before, but how frustrating is it that the defense continues to do its job and keep that point total low, but the offense can't?
We don't measure it by like what the total is, 20 points. For us, they scored on 4 possessions, and we had an opportunity in each of those possessions to get off the field. And so that, is how we judge ourselves, and we're all in this together and got to play complementary football and whatever it takes.
Mark walked us through all those possessions where the offense was moving it. So how do you evaluate an offense that's making progress that way but has only scored 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, agree. I mean, it's hard. It's frustrating because you obviously need to get the ball in the end zone, right? That's very frustrating. But we're trying to get shots, and again, that, like a lot of teams and them in particular, they're really trying to make us earn all of those yards. We had 23 first downs, if I'm not mistaken, and I mean that's efficient. Just got to punch it in. We punch it in and get those scores. And it's a different feeling sitting right here. But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be. Yeah.
Mark, you mentioned the defense is trying to take away some of the explosives, but last year y'all were pretty explosive, not very efficient. This year it's kind of been the opposite. When you review, why are those coming?
Why aren't the finishes?
Just the big plays.
Well, the big plays, I don't know. I mean, you could look at a lot of different things. I mean, you could look at defended well. You could look at making us earn their yards because we're having a hard time in the end zone. You could look at protection, and having enough time to get it just a fraction off here and there. There's a variety of reasons.
Have you considered, Varian had a great return there at the end. Have you considered just making that part of his full-time job?
It's always a part of it. I think it's a part of it. I think it's also a part of like what he can handle. You know what I mean? He does a lot and he gets really amped up, and he's got to come out on certain plays, because he's exhausted too, so, and what he, just what we're putting on his plate, and his comfort level with catching it and all the things that go into it. So, yeah, it's always a possibility.
Mark,
You said
I
after
know we ask you about this a lot, but Jamarian Wilcox carried 3 times, averaged just under 12 yards a carry. Are there things other than carrying the ball that keep him off the field?
Well, I mean, like, here's a simple thing: tie your shoes. Like, right? Tie your shoes. Doesn't tie his shoes, so he runs it, but his shoe falls off, so he's got to come out. That would help.
You said after the game that you were going to have conversations with some of the senior leaders on this team. Have those conversations happened, and what was kind of the consensus?
Of course. That's why I was a little late. I apologize. I was 6 minutes late right here, but I was just sitting in my office visiting with somebody right there. And so, yeah, we'll keep things moving.
I think historically, Mark, fans say, well, guys make these undisciplined mistakes, bench them. But it's coming from some of your best players. I don't know the depth situation. How do you balance those things and hold people accountable?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like today, like we're going through every play, that was, could have changed the game. There's many more. I always tell the players, and I've told you this many times, you don't know exactly what play, is going to change it. But, but there's 15 that pop out at me that are eye-popping. That everybody's going to go through. And that is a fine line because I'm going through there right there, and I don't want to call out certain players because one of the players that made a couple mistakes has been the most consistent player on our team, on the field and off the field. You know what I mean? So I'm not putting that, just on him. I recognize the good in some of these guys, and one in particular that made a couple mistakes that has been the most consistent player on our team. Again, on the field, off the field, off season, you name it. Tries to do everything right. And so again, to me, it's not like always who, you know what I mean? Who, it's like why? Why are we doing these things? That's obviously, that's my issue. And how can we get it corrected? How can we be the least penalized team? How can we be very disciplined and then look so undisciplined at times? Well, because it's magnified, because we had these drives and get the ball to the 6-inch line, don't get it in, lose the game, and everything gets magnified. And I told you last Monday that it was going to be a short game. 7 possessions is a short game.
You mentioned that your margin of error is really thin. Have you contemplated reasons or things you can do to try to expand that? I don't know, maybe quickening things up. That last touchdown drive that you had with Dane, it felt like things were moving faster.
I mean, I don't know if that's always the answer. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, again, you could see we're working for that. So you have to be methodical. You know what I mean? If you go back to one of the best drives we have of the year, 12 plays, 80 yards, 6 minutes, it's pretty methodical, pretty detailed, pretty much that play caller's right on the money, you know what I mean, the whole time. That's not easy to do, so there's a fine line there. I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. It's just what we feel like we have to do to win. You know what I mean? If you punch it in, they play that way, right? They control the ball, have a lot of different variety in their offense, you know what I mean? Work the ball down the field, take their drives usually take a long time, and and so the difference is they capitalized, they scored, and
we
did.
We learned that Mertz is after the year this morning. Do you have a good feel on how their style is with Flagway? Understand?
Yeah, I first of all want to recognize Graham Mertz, and my sympathy is with him because I got to know him through recruiting, and I thought he's played some really good football. I know they've had some ups and downs, like a lot of people in this league, but I thought he was really playing good football. And is a really good player and just a great young man. So, our prayers are with him. That's a terrible injury, and you hate seeing that, especially on a non-contact. It looked like a non-contact injury, what I know, what I saw. But for them, they've been playing both quarterbacks anyways. When Mertz got hurt earlier, they've been playing DJ as well. So I think they've been playing both quarterbacks. Seem to be very similar in their style. Obviously, Graham had a lot more experience, but DJ is a talent. I think that throw alone that you saw, the talent that he had, is going to give him a lot of confidence to put that game in overtime. And the way he, not only has great athletic ability, the big, strong guy, but the throw that he made to tie that game, was quite impressive. And we knew going in the game we had to be ready for both anyway. And now it's on him.
What are some of you and the coaching staff saying to the players this week to just keep the morale and the energy high heading into Florida?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll get into. There'll be quite a bit that I don't need to share with you right now. But I put a lot of time and thought into it and consult with a lot of people. And so there'll be a good meeting today.
You guys have turned things around down there, Mark, finding success in the swamp, and for better or worse, you guys just play better on the road. Is that kind of an easy way to flush what happened this week? Just go out there, get ready to do that?
I don't know. I hope so. We played before and made some mistakes and responded in a positive way. And, hopefully with this game, it's one game. It's a very tough league this year. It's a very balanced league this year. It's brutally tough. And there's going to be two teams playing Saturday that desperately want to win. And so, it'll be a great challenge. It'll be a great game.
The snapping holding we saw a couple of years ago where that seemed to spiral a little bit. When it happens on back-to-back kicks, how do you make sure it's not in their head the next time?
Yeah, agreed. I think it's something that Coach Boulware and I talked during the game, because we have alternatives that we could, flip to. And I asked him that very question during the game because you felt like one rolled into two. And, I think they were different. I think the second one, was a little harder snap to handle. But, again, normally it's something that's done. And, again, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but when I talked about that, a few weeks ago, because the routine has been looking routine, right? And then nobody talks about it because we do that literally thousands of times a week. And I mean, it has been routine. Our kicker has been one of the most efficient guys in the country. And then all of a sudden it shows up. I mean, I don't know how to explain that either. I mean, we do literally thousands. One thing our special teams coaches do as good as anybody, like those guys work literally all practice long. Used to be like, they do their thing, take a break, go, this, that. They literally work for the entire practice on every little detail. So I can promise you it's not for a lack of effort.
Mark, I know he's only kind of had limited opportunities the way you've been using him, but 6 games in the season, how do you feel like Gavin's played?
I think Gavin, brings an element that is very useful. He's a very good player. I think Coach Hamden's done a really nice job of utilizing him. I think throwing the deep shot in there was a really good pass, and have a great opportunity to make an explosive play there. Keep people honest, you know what I mean, because he can throw it. And there's a balance there. As some of these games, it's all nip and tuck. The games go so close. Every play's so important. But I thought we did a nice job of utilizing him.
Obviously, Brock was on the availability report all last week. How much do you just have to be conscious of taking some hits on?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why going into that game, in the game plan, was to try to unload some of that off of him. And Gavin brings a different element. He is a very big, strong young man, and he can throw the ball. So I thought it was a good plan, and it was efficient. It was efficient. Again, we got to make those explosives like that. We're inches off there.
Right now, you see a little bit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back with offense. Is there, especially when the field gets tight, is there something you feel comfortable? Like, I know if we get it to this guy, that like good things are going to happen. Have you found that one thing you can kind of lean on?
Well, I think I think there's a fine line there because we have playmakers that we have confidence in on the outside. I think, then there's a fine line. You get it down there, maybe we're, you're gutting them a little bit, maybe getting some good runs, some efficient runs, keeping them off balance, and we just got to capitalize. There's that fine line of when to, if you take the shot and you miss it, you're like, why did I get behind the chains? I just grinded it all the way down here. And then I take this shot, and now I put us behind the chains now. You know what I mean? Like, so there's always, when there's that thin line that we're talking about, there's always going to be a little bit of second guessing yourself there, even with us. You know what I mean? No, take the shot there. No, not here. At the end of the first half, I want to be aggressive. I want to go score. What's it do? Lead to 7 points for them.
Mark, did I see an alignment with Malachi Wood at tight end?
Yes.
What was that? What was the thought process?
We worked it all week and we had many more. I mean, we had several plays where we wanted to put him in there and just get more physical on the backside there, and maybe and possibly in protections and different things.
Mark, I know you didn't and going to the season envisioning Demi being a workhorse guy, but he's ran the ball well. What are you seeing out of him, and could he?
Did you say Demi?
Demi, yeah. Could he run more? I mean, can.
Yeah, and so can Jamarion. So can, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think, yes. I mean,
Seeing out of him?
I see. I saw some really good runs the other day. You know, one in particular where we cut a guy loose and he made a miss right at the line of scrimmage and still gained 10. Those are the kind of runs those are the kind of people we play against every week. You know what I mean? Like those are. That was a really good run, and I see a guy that's, you know, gaining more confidence. He's getting better, and you know, he's been very reliable for us. So we need to keep him that way.
Mark Dane's had 7 or more catches each of the last 3 games. Outside of Wandale, do you feel like this highest level you've had a receiver play at since you've been here?
He's playing at a very high level. He really is. He's you know, he's very conscientious and he works really hard. I've said that the other day, and you know, it's showing up on the field, and you know, he'll continue, you know, hopefully to make plays for us.
Mark Jackson, I think it was his 5th career interception. He came here, I thought he was going to be a big run stopping linebacker. He's certainly developed as a passer.
Yeah, he has, and you know, he really made a nice open field tackle with a play that was on the perimeter and really showed a flash of speed as well. You know, I think D-Jack will do that. He'll show up, you know, on film and really kind of pop out at you once in a while, you know, and you know, a couple run plays that were the same way, and that pass play was one heck of a play. I thought it was going to be, at first when I saw it live, I'm like, oh no, I thought it was going to be a completion, and then I thought it was just going to be a tip, and then he pulled it in, and he's done that several times, so it showed a really nice athletic play, and a guy with a lot of experience that we needed that at that moment, and gave us the opportunity to get ahead, which was key in this game.
What'd you think of the turnout Saturday and you know, the way the fans have responded? They're hanging in there.
Yeah, I believe I mentioned that post game, but yeah, I said what a great atmosphere, you know, at night, and we still need them. Like, I understand the frustration. Believe me, we feel it too. But we also feel your energy and appreciate your energy and love coming into the stadium and seeing it like that. You know, it gives us an opportunity, and our players feel it and appreciate it. And you know, and I understand the frustration. Like, you know, when they booed when we missed the field goal, that I solely take that. That's not on our players. That's solely on me, and I take it like that. That was deserved, you know, after a frustrating game like that. But not our players, but I did, you know, and that 2,000 snaps a week we do, we're going to go to 3 this week.
You've coached in this league for a while now. You've coached at all the away stadiums. Maybe, I don't know about Texas and OU in your career, but you feel like UK is beginning to become on par with some of the other road games?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, I don't know. I'm out on the opposing sideline. I have my headsets on, you know what I mean? But you know, I want us to play well at home for our fans. You know, and I want to deliver, you know, those games, and you know, it hurts us when we don't.
You talked about going through those drives and how unsure you were feeling about the offense in the first half. Is that why, with 17 seconds left, you just kind of went into the break? You got the penalty to get up to the 35, 2 timeouts, but...
Did you see the possession before?
Right. Is that why?
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had 1 timeout at that point. I mean, the last thing I needed to do was give up more points, you know, and drop back pass in completely predictable pass isn't a very safe place for us to live right now. We're still, you know what I mean, in the game, and you know what I mean, a 1-possession game, and unfortunately we gave up a long drive with 3 to start second half, which made it feel a lot worse. So that's what made it so important to go into the half at worst 7-7.
You talked a lot over the years about how hard and maybe unrealistic it is for college kids to get up for every single game and have the same performance every game. Is that harder in this era with NIL and the portal and all that, or is it the same? And maybe we just.
I do think it's harder in this era. You know, you know, I think there's a lot of roster turnover, you know, and we work and, you know, really hard still. We used to work really hard building that culture for years and years and years. And now we have to build that culture really fast, you know, and I think it is different, you know what I mean? I definitely think it's different. And, you know, so, you know, that's it. And I think, you know, I'll stop there before people, or I say something and get an arrow thrown at me.
All right, we're good. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.